I just finished my first 30 days on Turkesterone and I tracked everything I could think of. We're talking strength progression, body weight changes, physique differences, sleep, motivation, pumps, vascularity, blood work, everything I could think to track. So let's see if it worked. And just to be clear, I'm talking about Turk Max, or I think it's called Turk Builder Max. I must have got the last one that was in this kind of bottle and labeling here. Now it's in these little square boxes, blister packs. I think it's called Turk Builder Max, but same thing, because apparently HTLT Subs is the only one that has actual Turkesterone from Uzbekistan and at the meeting or exceeding label claims versus other stuff that's from other fake stuff from China. So this is what I use. So let me know down in the comments if you've used this HTLT Subs Turkesterone and what your results were as we go through this. And just so you're aware, this first 30 days, I took 1 capsule per day, and that would be the lowest dose you have. You can take up to 3 a day, and the way I'm doing this is these first 30 days, I did 1 a day, and I'm gonna be starting my whole program over again, doing 2 a day, tracking everything again, then doing 3 a day after that, tracking everything again to see how it stacks up and if I notice more changes. So we're gonna start with the more subjective things, which I don't really like going over because, I mean, it's just how someone feels. I mean, there's guys who feel like they're girls. So does that mean they are? People can think or feel whatever they want, but you know, just to go over it, motivation, that didn't change for me because I'm already motivated to go to the gym. I have goals I want to hit, and then when I'm going to the gym, I'm there to try to make that happen. So I'm already motivated. That's never been a problem for me. Aggression. Have I been more aggressive the last month, Jill? I'm not really aggressive, so I don't know. Kind of like motivation. I have fun in the gym and I have goals, so that's not a problem. Sleep, it didn't affect my sleep. I know Greg said he can't take 3 a day. He quit doing it because it started affecting his sleep. And to make sure you take it in the morning, it says that here too. If you're training, take it before training or in the mornings on non-training days because it can affect your sleep. I had no problems with sleep. And I think for me, things don't seem to affect me as much. Like I can take 200 milligrams of caffeine and fall asleep an hour and a half or 2 hours later. I'm doing international long flights where I gotta be awake, and we get breaks for 2 hours or so at a time to take a nap, and I fall right asleep. So higher doses seem to be what works more for me on stuff like that, so I didn't really notice a lot of the subjective things. Pumps, I've been working out, and we're gonna go over my strength numbers. I tracked all that and how I did it, but I worked out mostly in the 10 to 20 rep range depending on what I was doing, and I mean, pumps felt like they always do, so nothing really increased at all. Again, I'm on the lowest dose of it for this first round of 30 days. And then vascularity, I actually had a few people notice just in the last week that like, man, your veins really look like they're popping out, so that could be a factor of more dryness, less water retention. I know Will Tennyson said in his review that he just feels like any water that he normally holds was gone and he looked leaner from it. So that could be the case here. It's also been getting really hot the last couple weeks, and that tends to make your veins stick out more because I work out in my garage. And yeah, they might be really small when I first go out there, but then like you see now, they're just showing pretty good. So vascularity has an improvement. Not sure if that's from just the weather changing or this, or it could be a combination of both. So now with all those mostly subjective things out of the way, let's take a look at body weight. So I tracked my weight every single day that I worked out. You can see on my spreadsheet here, I started this program with legs push pull and doing 7 sessions of all those. So legs push pull 7 times. Over and over, and I did on the 4th day cardio. Sometimes I would just go straight into my next leg day depending on how my schedule worked, but legs push pull cardio, legs push pull cardio, that's how I do my stuff, and it works out well. And so each day that I lifted weights, I tracked my weight and listed it here. So I have 21 different weights. I went through and I got the average of that for it. So for the average weight on my control trial that I did the 30 days leading into this was 183.4 pounds. And I'm guessing that's around 11 to 12-ish% body fat. And my weight, you know, ranges anywhere from like, it could be 182 one morning, it could be 186 and a half the next day. Depending on what I ate, how much you go to the bathroom the day before, all that plays into it, how much sodium you have. So that's why I just took all the weights, put them all together, saw the average weight. So then the average weight for the next round, when I took the Turkesterone, went up to 184.4. So my average weight increased by 1 pound. Yeah, so I didn't see a huge weight gain like, you know, Greg has said before, he gained 4 pounds in a month when he did it. He was also on 3 capsules, so we'll see. Maybe when I go to 2, I'll gain another pound over the next 30 days, and then go to 3, another pound. So it could equal out to the same thing. But if that ends up being all muscle that I gained in that 1 pound, that would be pretty sweet, because I'm kind of at the point now, I've been training hard for 5 years, a little over 5 years. I put on probably 27, 28 pounds of muscle, I'd guess, based on my pictures back in 2020 with my weights versus my pictures now in my weights. And I'm kind of in the probably like 2 pounds, maybe 3 pounds a year range now, which for me is cool, you know, if I keep just training hard because I enjoy it. And over the next 5 years, I put on another 10 pounds of muscle slowly. I could be in the low 190s and look pretty jacked and lean. So, you know, that's cool. Or I just keep myself healthy where I am now because I think my physique's pretty sweet. And so does my wife. That's why we have 6 kids. Huh? She laughed. So let's move on to strength progression since we're already on the spreadsheet. The way I track this, like I tracked all my numbers that I did. The main focus though was the first set of my first compound movement. So for legs, I was doing leg press. For push day, I was doing bench press. And then for my back day, I was doing a barbell row with my seal row bench, so that I could basically track full range of motion for everything. So on my leg press, legs all the way down till they touched my arms and back up. I wasn't doing pause reps or anything because I want to keep the tempo the same as much as I could. For bench press, all the way down on my chest, all the way back up. I wasn't dropping and bouncing, but I was going through the reps like this until I couldn't do anymore. And then same thing with the barbell, all the way down, I'd pull it up till it hit the bottom of the bench that I'm laying on and back down. And that was how I tracked to make sure I was doing the same range of motion and as close as possible as I could for the tempo and everything. And I also have been doing a ton of live videos throughout this whole process and answering people's questions through that. So keep a lookout for my live videos, especially as I go through this next round where I'm taking 2 of these a day. And if you've got questions on diet training, you can follow me there. But it's been really cool just hanging out with you guys, talking, answering questions, and helping people with their own programs and things that can help. One guy told him how deloads worked because he wasn't feeling great, and he came back and hit a bench PR and some dips PRs like a week and a half later. So you never know, it might help out. Had some interesting questions the other day too about, I guess, what would it be, the no-fap concept? We could discuss that later. Let's see, so what happened was I would pick whatever weight I thought was my 10 rep max, and then I stayed with that weight throughout the entire 7 sessions of leg, 7 sessions of push, 7 sessions of pull, and just try to keep adding reps each time. And when I got to the end, see how many I did. So for the first, the control trial with legs, I started with 350 pounds of my leg press for 10 reps, and I worked up to 350 for 15 by the end of it. And so with the 1 Turk a day, how much to increase the weight was I typically do 5 pounds per rep. So if I got 15 reps at the end, that would be 25 pounds added. I ended up just deciding to go to 380. We can see right here for 11. And then as we continued through, I ended up doing 380 for 18 yesterday, and that was brutal. You can check it out if you want on my last, it says like final leg day on Turkesterone. But man, those last few reps, like my head was getting really hot and not very fun. But 380 for 18, so definitely had a good progression there. I added 5 reps from the baseline on the control test, and now on this one I went from 11 to 18, so that's 7 reps more than when I started, pretty much an extra rep every single session. So in that case, the strength did increase. So let's move on to the push day. So my baseline for bench press on the control trial, I got 200 for 10, and I ended up, let's see, I got 11. I was stuck on that for like 3 sessions, and I got 12. Was stuck on that and ended up with 200 for 12 by the end of that, which I thought I was gonna get 13 on the last day, but it didn't work out. So then I bumped it up by 10 pounds, doing that 5 pounds for every rep since I got 2 reps over. So looking at my Turkesterone numbers, I did 210 for 10, and I was stuck on that for a few weeks. 210 for 10, again here. And then finally on the 5th session, I got 210 for 11. On the 6th session, I got 210 for 11, and the 11th one felt a lot easier. I didn't think I'd be able to get another one if I did. And then when I did my last session a few days ago, I got 210 for 11 again. I thought I was gonna get 12. I was like, I think 3/4 of the way up, and I just couldn't lock it out. It was tempting to lift my butt to get it up, but every time I've hurt my shoulder, it's when I'm like trying to get that last rep, and I'm like, I'll just lift my butt to get it up. I was like, no, I'm not gonna change that angle, pushing as hard as I can, and hurt myself again. So let it back down onto my safety rails, did the strip of shame off the bar so I can get it back up there and put the weight back on. But something I did notice with the bench press, so the progression was worse. I only got 1 extra rep throughout the whole 7 weeks. And granted, something I will say with that is just in my experience in the past, your progression isn't linear. So like as you add more weight, it's gonna be harder to keep progressing. Granted, the whole idea of this is to see if this makes me progress faster or at least the same amount, and it doesn't seem so on the bench press, so not too great there. But one thing I did notice was that it seemed like my endurance was a little bit better on the subsequent sets and my reps didn't fall off as quickly. It wasn't always the case, but I guess I did feel a little bit stronger on later sets than I had in the past. So one of those subjective measures did feel a little bit different. It wasn't like, oh, I just feel so strong taking this, but I felt like my strength was lasting longer, if that makes sense. So then let's just move ahead now and get into this last pull day. And I started with 165 for 10, but I didn't really get the weight all the way up in the last one, so I decided to drop the weight. And so the baseline was 155 for 11. I went from that up to 155 for 15 on my last session. So that's 4 reps better than the initial. So I decided to go up to 20 pounds, which I don't know if it was too much or what with this barbell row. I mean, there's no momentum you can have on this seal row bench. You're literally laying on it. The weight's dead hang, you gotta pull it up. There's no body movement, momentum you can get. So it's pretty tough, but I got 10 reps and I got 11 the second session, but then I had some regression and I was stuck at 10 for the next 2 sessions and got back to 11, and ended up at 12. So I gained 2 reps versus the 4 reps on the first round. So both chest and back strength didn't increase as much as the control session, but the legs did, so who knows, maybe Turkesterone goes straight to the legs and works best on that. So maybe if I get back into squats, I'll hit some crazy squat PR. But you know, maybe that'll change. Like I said, I was at the lowest dose and I'm about to start the whole thing over, taking 2 a day. We'll see if that makes my strength go up quicker, or at least, you know, with heavier weight, match what the previous numbers were. Because for now, with what I did in squats, I'm gonna be going up to like 420 pounds for how many reps that was. I'm just gonna move up 5 pounds to 215 on the bench to start over at 10 reps. And then I'm just gonna move up to I don't think I'm gonna go to 185. I'm gonna go to 180, and if I get 11 on the first set, then you know, that'll be cool. But we'll see how it goes with that. So those are my strength numbers. I did see improvements in the legs, not so much chest and back. So now let's move on to the physique changes. I didn't see much difference here. Possibly a little bit more leanness. You know, left is the before, this is the after. And you may see right here, I didn't get acne, I'm not on PEDs. I got a spider bite. I picked a shirt that I hadn't worn in a long time, was sitting in the closet to go to church the other day. And after we got home and I started working out, just kept itching here, it was red, and this morning I noticed there are 2 little marks there, and there must have been a spider in that shirt or something. But yeah, spider bite. That's my excuse for you know, people saying I have acne from PEDs. But I mean, I don't see any significant body fat changes here. I don't see any crazy vascularity differences. Again, I'm 1 pound heavier in the after shots. You can let me know what you think. The back shot, I don't know, my lats almost look not necessarily bigger. I don't know. It's hard to tell. I mean, it's 30 days. I don't expect any kind of huge transformation in 30 days. From someone who's already been training hard for 5 years, I'm like at the high end of, not saying at my genetic limit, but getting closer to that, and you're not gonna see huge changes. And natural supplements aren't gonna do anything crazy when you've already been training for a long time. Yeah, so I guess the thing I would say is I don't see any noticeable body fat changes, so it's not like I just, hey, my weight went up and I gained fat. And if you are a little bit more vascular, that would mean that you have been losing weight, or at least losing water. And then if you're heavier, that would be adding muscle. So if you also have less body water in you, then that would mean that you'd gain even more muscle. Makes sense, right? Because there's less water that you're holding, so now that would be even less weight. So say I had a pound less water in me, then that could be 2 pounds of muscle for all I know. Granted, again, those are average weights from before and after, but I mean, you see the legs like here, I see pretty much the same definition, the before and the after. You can see the vascularity in my arm looks pretty much the same. I really don't notice, there's my spider bite there, a whole lot of difference between the two. I mean, a little bit more pumped here, kind of looks like in the chest, you see a few fibers there versus here it doesn't stand out quite as much. That could be a lighting thing because it was a little bit brighter. It's hard to tell. Maybe we'll see a bigger difference where I get done with the 3 Turkesterone a day. Vacuum pose there, legs look pretty much the same leanness. Maybe a tiny bit more obliques there. I mean, it could be a little less water. So if that's the case, that would be pretty sweet because I haven't gained a pound of muscle in a month since my first year when I started training really hard. So almost like maybe some possible little bit of newbie gains. I don't normally suggest people take pictures when it's a month apart. I always tell people, hey, do at least 6 months between your before and after, because you don't see those small changes from day to day. And if you take, now 6 months later, like, oh, I see a difference. And then a year later, I see a big difference. Like my before and after of my first year was a huge difference. Like my legs blew up. So pictures can be motivating, but it can also be a little demotivating if you're doing it this close together, a month apart. The good thing is, I think I look pretty much the same as far as leanness. So if I'm heavier, but look the same leanness, then that's a good indication that I am building muscle. And a pound to a pound and a half of muscle, if I do have a little less water, is a pretty sweet thing to gain at my rate, where it's maybe getting like 2 to 3 pounds in a year. So that is the physique part of it. And then blood work, I don't have numbers on that right now. My testosterone was at 511 a month ago when I got it checked. And I'm not gonna do my blood work again until I finish the entire thing of 3 a day. So that'll be another 2 months from now, about maybe 2.5 months, depending on how my work schedule goes. And we'll see if I have any significant blood work changes there. But I'm not gonna pay $200 every month to get my blood work done again to see how a little bit's affecting me. So far, I haven't noticed a huge difference really in any of my metrics from this, just taking 1 a day. About to up it. I'm going on vacation tomorrow and gonna deload, go to the gym a couple times, full body workouts when I get home, get back into it, hitting hard. I'll be posting live videos again, so feel free to look into those and check them out if you have questions or whatever. I'll be happy to answer them there. Again, let me know what your experience is in the comments, what type of supplements you use. If you think this is a joke, who knows? Maybe I'll be asking for my money back, Greg, if I don't see any good changes from this. But I think that's about it. See you soon.